I is it not remembered? Yeah. Oh. Oh, that's it. I should probably put on my headphones. Let's see what happens. Let's see if you can hear me better. Let's see. Can you guys hear me? Just say that you can hear me. Just my headsets are on. Hold on. Really using. Hopefully, it's using this microphone because it's been completely useless if from where I'm doing it doesn't use the headphone mic. Yeah. If there's no difference, I probably need to know that. So if you could comment, let me know. I've been doing this wrong the whole time. I could try to take steps to correct it. So how are you guys doing? Hope you guys are doing well. I'm still working on the blanket. Let's see. Bring this down to blanket working. That's blanket working. We're just past our first quarter on the moon. It's March. We're in spring. I've experienced, or up here in the upper hemisphere, I've experienced snow yesterday for some odd reason, and that is a bad cuss word. You guys shouldn't cuss like that. Say that terrible S word. And yeah, it was cold, and then it was warm by the time we left to go run our errands. And I suggest while you're making YouTube videos, if you consider not arguing with your fiance, that'd be better. But you know, so I saying something. I'm saying, don't text this to me because I can't understand sarcasm over text. 'Cause, you know, and it's hard to see if he was genuine. So, or if he's just effing with me. Yo. I need a better camera that day. Okay. Relationships are now I have to figure out if I believe him. Because he's saying he's not being sarcastic. I should just let it go until next we can talk face to face. Yeah, that way. Yeah, because I don't want to misinterpret things. So we were having this conversation, and I thought it was us figuring out where we're misinterpreting things. Oh, I was wrong. Very wrong. So yeah. Um, I think I just ciphered my friend. We're arranging for plans with my friend, who we suspect is also as autistic or autistic. Whereas I'm autistic, they're somewhere on the spectrum, I'm somewhere on the spectrum, trying to decipher what the ha 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 okay means. Because we had different points of the conversation, and then there was an answer with something else. Mm, oh, yeah, there it is. So I think I've figured that out. If I've accurately figured that out, all goes well. That's I tell my fiance how much I love him, even though we're fighting, because it's true. Because I'm mad doesn't mean I don't love somebody. Like, I love them because they get under my skin. Yes. As well as I feel good when, they're not under my skin. Relationships are very interesting to navigate. So what makes a marriage work and what doesn't make a marriage work? I found out what makes two different marriages not work, two of my marriages not work. Communication, trust. Seem to be big keys, but that's such a general term, such a big umbrella when you say trust and you say communicate. So I've learned that from studies done, like something like Play Telephone, that game where one person tells another person who tells another person who tells another person who tells another person, and they see if the message that the original person who started with the message is the same with the message from the person who is at the end. So they had all the sticks in one room, and they had hopefully they were all listics, and then they had autistics in another room because all autistics have to learn how to mask, so they won't even know that they're autistic. So they put all autistics in one and all autistics in another room, and they played telephone in each room, and the message was pretty much the same. I'm gonna guess that it was literally the same with the autistics, because we tell you word for word. If that's what you said, that's what you meant, because that's what you said. And then they put them into a room together, and they played the same game, and the message was not the same at the end as it was in the beginning, because we don't there's implications when you're holistic. It's interesting. So these communications, and we started, um, talking about that, and he my fiance doesn't know anything about this. He doesn't bother to study this kind of stuff. So then he yells at me, "It's what you said, da 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 da," and he starts telling me about the things I implied. Well, you came in here and asked if I was done throwing my fit because I threw. He'll say this is what he said, because I threw a hat on the floor. I said, I didn't realize the hat on the floor, being thrown on the floor, had anything to do with me saying that you were done or not done with a hissy fit, because I didn't know the hat was involved, because I didn't say anything about a hat. There was no hat to me, so I didn't know. I had no idea that this hat had anything to do with a hissy fit or a fit. I'm like, okay, because I don't know. He just assumed, but I didn't say it out loud. So I you gotta be careful when you try to not say things out loud and you try, because like, we were having a conversation, and then the conversation quit being private because somebody was walking by, so I just dropped the subject till later, and he's like, "Well, you stonewalled me." It's like, "About what?" He's like, "Well, I asked this, and then you stonewalled me, you didn't say anything." I was like, "Because our private conversation was no longer private, so we were just gonna talk about it later." "Well, you have to tell me." Like, dude, what's this, like, I'm beginning to think there are some double standards, and I'm not one for double standards, so I'm going to have to be like, pick a standard, and that's the standard we go with no matter what. Yeah, no, we don't do that. So yeah. Because yeah, I don't do well with double standards and exceptions to the rules. I'm not sure where the exceptions are allowed, or if there's so many that I can't keep track of them. So I think that that particular rule just doesn't apply, or if it applies to somebody, but it doesn't apply to me because, yeah, no. I mean, I can understand diaper rule changes, diaper change rules apply to those who wear diapers. Don't apply to those who don't wear diapers. I can understand that exception. Yeah. So learning to communicate by saying something and understanding that somebody might take everything you say literally, or to say point blank face value, where what you say is what you mean. There's no hidden agenda, there's no assumption with it, and and there might be people that have assumptions for everything. If you can start to clarify where and when and why those things happen, you can start using a lens, I want to say, a filter of, well, that's for visual people, or you could use, or filters also apply to sound, or you can use a type of system for people who are active, or you could use some sort of signal to specify a signal, usually like an audible signal, signal. That is interesting. So I have that accent, so I get to learn weird words like signal. That took a while to learn how to pronounce. Portfolio. That one took me longer than 16 years to learn how to say. Portfolio. 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 The T. Then hanger and hanger. Anger. I've noticed there's like this hard G or soft G, and I've learned like grass, glass, there's that, the way I say that word sometimes can come out different. And it's funny because I've grown up in one place and I pronounce certain words differently, even though they had the or they had the same spelling. It just, that word had a different association, so that word was pronounced different. Because anger is pronounced different than hanger. Hanger. a hanger. Like, you don't even have that G. Like, people say family, 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 family. It's like they took out certain hanger. Yeah. Anyway. But you could say angry or anger. The gurk is very pronounced, spelled similar. So, I mean, you would think somebody with an accent would do the R's the same or the AR's the same. But yeah, it's interesting. So language, when you learn like things like English, and you learn English as an autistic, and you learn English. So what I've tried to do is with my youngest, I realized, oh, there's an association. Like if I read a word, the association with that word being read is not the same as the association with hearing this word being spoken in a language. I'm like, oh, so that's how you pronounce it. There are words I don't have pronunciations for because I only read them. And if you spell it out to me, I'm not going to know what that word is. But if you write it out for me, I'll be like, oh, yeah, that word that I read in this one book like 2 years ago. Yeah, no. I have learned that language should be taught, English should be taught by linguists, not by English teachers, or English teachers should take a cross course, perhaps, or I'd say have to, should. I don't like those. So what I desire to say is that we should consider a linguist assisting or cross-training with English teachers in order for English speakers. It's like your non-native English speakers would be like, boom, that rule right there, bow, through thought, yeah, live live. You say this, but you mean that. I mean, it's more than obvious because you teach a rule, and then you have 15 different sets of us of not of examples of exceptions, and you're just like, Lord, like the grammar and the teaching how to spell. I finally found out why they're C's and why they're K's, because if you put CE to a word, you get a sound. So, you know, if you spell a word with an E in it, like neck, you're gonna get a K rather than C, or a CK even. If the letter is in front. So if it's after, or CI or something, or what's, I'm trying to think of a word that has a KE. Keep. It would be sept or seep instead of keep. So why not use K for all this words instead of cat? Why not spell cat KAT? I don't know. But why would you get rid of K? Yeah, maybe you should keep C and get rid of K. Then make all the CE sounds S. I don't know. The way we already dropped, what was it, 9 letters from the English language. So the way we spell things to the way they spelled things, and had a whole nother, there was a letter for and. Why were we spelling out and this whole time? Never should I spell out and. I should just use the symbol for and, at, yeah. But yeah, I'm in a ranting kind of, yeah. So learning to communicate with your autistic and your allistic people And then ADHD, it doesn't always work well with autism. Like, autism be like, "I have a precise way to do this whole routine," and my ADHD would be like, "Routine, I've got hives!" Well, I don't actually get hives, I get, an unrealistic subconscious fear that shuts down my executive function that says routine equals, um perpetrator learning how victim is vulnerable. Somebody studies the perpetrator would study the routine of the victim, and they camped out for weeks and learned, and then they made their strike. And I watched, well, that show, if I could remember, America's Most Wanted or something like that, or where, like, they'd ask us people in the US to help solve burglaries, unsolved mysteries, something, yeah, unsolved mysteries, things like that. And I used to watch it, and the reenactments and things like that. Oh, no. Okay, so I didn't want routine because I didn't want to be part of the where I could be predictable. So I honestly randomly drive different routes. I could drive like 100 times the same way, and then someday, for no reason whatsoever, unbeknownst to anybody, I'll just go a different route, or I'll go a different route every time, and then randomly do it the same time, same way, and drive the exact same time for so many times, for so many days, for like a couple of weeks, whatever it is, maybe, or a couple of days, or a month, and then all of a sudden it's different. Keeps me safe. Whether or not it keeps me safe, makes me feel safe. Safe. So safe. Yeah, but yeah. But to let that paranoia go, I would have to have assurances. I would have to have an assurance or proof, because it was proven to me how somebody studies, that a perpetrator could study routine and then take their victim in a vulnerable spot in the routine. So if you could prove that it's safe, it would make it a lot easier. Boundaries were set, that my safety was ensured. It would make letting that unrealistic or improbable. It's not so much that it's not possible, it's an improbable, uh oh, it tickles. That improbable likelihood that I'm going to get kidnapped, or my kids or people that I love are gonna get kidnapped. So, yeah, that's the other thing is, for me personally, when a psychologist or somebody who's trying to help says, "You have to learn to trust again." Okay, that would be nice. If somebody stabbed me, you want me to trust whether or not they're going to stab me again, or that the next person isn't going to stab me. If you could help me understand how the first person did this, led up to the stabbing, or why, or the motivation, or the how can I have stopped the first person from stabbing me, I'm more likely to trust that another person isn't going to stab me. The fact that they let go of that common sense and tell you, "Just trust," sounds like a mass human extinction Sounds genocidal. Sounds like you're trying to get rid of the human population. It doesn't make much sense. You're going to endanger the human population by teaching that. Look for certain assurances. Find certain boundaries in place, reinforcing these boundaries. You can't do this because then I will do that. I don't want to give my personal information away. And then I have to trust people. Trust that the person I'm giving personal information to is qualified and will keep my personal information private. I don't have so many disagreements or privacy protection agreements. Mm, so let's make this a little less. Yeah, I don't know. That's what that looked like because I haven't reviewed the footage. I'm scared to review the footage. I don't like the sound of my voice. I might change the sound of my voice on these videos, like go back and edit, like run a voice filter or something. That would be nice. So then I have to figure out what the what do we call it, policies and the community guidelines are because YouTube Studio is not consistent. That is interesting. How did I get nearly 25% or 20% of my battery life is just gone, and I haven't used my phone very much. Alright, so we work hard and being more of us. So understanding and learning more about internally helps us navigate our external world, our experiences, our way of life, our learning, our conversations with our fiancés. We've been fighting cats and dogs since the weekend, wondering if we both have depression. Next thing is very difficult, so he needs cuddly wuddlies. I probably have just as many flaws as he does. Question is, what am I going to do with my flaws that I'm working on? Yeah, because that's all I can deal with is what my flaws are. He's in charge of dealing with his own flaws. what I have issues with, I can bring up to him and let him know, hey, this is an issue for me. Here's my boundary. If you do this, this is what I will do. Or this is what will happen from my end. It's all I can do. So I'm wondering if the big old fat handles really do make these things go quicker. So my ego's like, no, it's this. No, it's that. You could do it just as fast. Why does it take a half an hour to do a row? It's because I pause between each stitch. Because they just kind of like in, out, in, out, in. And they kind of just, in like a sewing needle and thread out. And a lot of them are stitched like this. This part I don't. It looks like they're doing like needles, like knitting needles, where they sew where they crochet like this. The part I I don't. Oh no, this one. That one's different for me. Having difficulty with that. They seem to do it very quickly with that. I don't know if they've knit and crochet, and that's what holding the needle that way for them is, or the hook. Oh. Yeah. I am not ready for today. I have to make phone calls, do stuff. So I've been at this for half an hour on the video. I haven't gotten this far because I chit-chatted, played on the phone, and I hope our snow season is over because I'm so over snow. You know what I mean, then? That's a reference to Ernest T. shows, movies. He did just several movies. He probably could have done a series. I'm almost done with this part of the yarn. I don't know, I'm trying to think. I'm really trying to think if these two colors even go together. Uh, it's a contrast. Holy trapezoids. It's definitely a contrast. But I don't know if I got half this done. Gorgeous pastel, the rainbow of things. I should just do a pride blanket for my kids. jean blanket, purses, things like that, or the jeans. Eeh, books. It's not nice and neat. Oh, I have to go adult. Silver exposure is interesting. It's light enough for me to crochet by. Let me see here. Hold on. Let me try this. Bear with me. Bear with me. Bear with me. It's about to get. How about this? Woo! Light. Ooh. Wow, that's bright. No, that light won't work. Hold on. Try. I like this one. This light. Yeet. Oh, I need to get some of these cobwebs. This light, though, I think is like totally cool. I love this one where it just lights up, and that way you can't see any of the mess in the back. This is the most fun. Like the lighting. Like, oh. I'm gonna take off my glasses. I am super cool. And then have like some sort of YouTube acceptable music. Light up this pretty magical. Wonderful. We talk about spell work here. If I could read by this light, I'd be like, oh, let's do tarot readings. I'm just like, yeah, no, I can't read the tarot. I can't read like, yeah, I'd be like, this is a 3, 4, swipe. No, I'd be like that. But boy, yeah. So this is nice. All right. So tomorrow is Thursday. We can do the next episode of Coffee with Caren in 2023. I still need to do cleaning and other stuff. Doom. Yeah. I've been working on being able to do it, to do just the cleaning and the things like that. And then to have the motivation and the ability, the executive function to do it. The next is learning the technology, where I'm going to set up and how I'm going to set the camera up and set up the equipment and set that up so that I can just do it. And then the next would be the making it look natural, the cleaning up and the taking care of the kids and the doing the stuff. Yeah. So it's a step process to get to the part where you guys get to watch. Because otherwise it looks like a crap show. Because there's so much time devoted to the camera part. All right. I love you guys. Love you. Big hugs. I love you. And until next we meet, have a good one.